Hey everybody, Michael and Peter here with GoodEReader.com. Today we're going to initiate yet another drop test with the Sony PRS-T3.
What we have behind us is a whiteboard with two height markers, 5 foot and 3 foot. 3 foot, we're going to do the simulated pocket miss. That's when you're going to put in your purse or your pocket, you miss, hits the ground. We're not going to set it up or anything, I'm just going to drop it casually. 5 foot, we're going to do controlled tests, back, side, and front. And at the end, we're going to do a bonus drop with the case on its back to actually expose the screen.
Because that's how people are going to be reading it.
Right. Now, we both know this has a case built in, and we're going to be dropping this, so how do you think it's going to hold up with the case actually covering the screen? And remember, it is actually magnetic because it is a sleep cover, so when we drop it, it's actually going to stick to the screen.
Well, the case itself is pretty flimsy. You know, it's not durable, high-grade material. So it'll be very interesting to see the whole way that this actually plays out. As you can see, the e-reader is in perfect condition. There's no dents, grooves, or anything like that. This e-reader does not have a front-lit display, unlike most other e-readers on the market, and it does have a series of manual buttons. So you could turn pages via these page turn keys, or you could flip it with your hands. So, mint condition. I don't know if this will be the case for much longer. No pun intended. Let's initiate the first stage of the drop test. So the first stage of the test is the pocket miss. Peter mentioned all the time people are putting them in their pockets, in their bags, in their purses, and whatnot. You get it from the table, you know, your pockets are zipped up, but you think that they're open, you're going to drop it on the ground. And we do have a concrete ground here, and it's very interesting to see what's going to happen from the simulated pocket miss. So Peter, I think it's time to go. You know, let's put the e-reader away and let's get out of here. Whoa!
Bounced a bit.
All right, let's go in for a closer look. The majority of the damage from the pocket miss is in the corner. As you can see, it's really scuffed. And when the e-reader fell, it slid. So you could also see some residual damage in basically all four corners. Now keep in mind that this case is giving a little bit of protection, but Sony actually does not sell these cases because it ships with the e-reader. So if this does take a lot more damage, you won't actually be able to purchase another one without getting a new e-reader. Let's continue with the tests. Most people, when they have their e-reader not in use, they put it on their computer desk, on their bookshelf, and whatnot. So inevitably, it's going to fall. So we're going to drop it on its back from the 5 foot mark, and let's see what happens.
Let's see what we can see.
Oh, that sounded nasty.
Alright, let's go in for a closer look, shall we?
Alright, so minor superficial scraping on the back. Nothing that's really going to be an eyesore or anything like that. The one thing about these back drop tests is this is where the circuit boards and all the assemblies are. So in some e-readers, when you drop it on their back, it actually fries the device. Let's pop it open just to verify that everything works. Manual page turn keys. Touchscreen pages seem to be working. Highlights and notation. Okay, our next test is dropping it on its side from the 5 foot mark. People are in public places, you're carrying the e-reader, a sudden stop. When you're on a bus, sometimes, as you know, sometimes they'll make sudden stops. Subways, you know, same things. So you'll inevitably drop it on its side. One wonders how much of a protected layer this case will actually give. No time to test like the present. Let's go.
Case popped open.
Yeah. Alright, let's go in for a closer look for a damage assessment. The one corner seems to be taking the majority of damage. Perhaps that's where the battery is, so when we're dropping it, it's automatically falling in that certain way. But when we actually open up the case, it's actually taking a little bit more damage, as you can see. How does the e-reader work?
Seems to work perfectly fine. Touchscreen functionality works. Manual buttons work. Everything seems to work, no problem.
Let's continue on with the test, shall we? Now, this e-reader, like all e-readers, has a sunken screen, and it actually has an extra layer of protection because of the case. So we're going to drop it on the front with the case on and see what happens. Whoa, ho, ho. Oh.
No, not yet.
You're teasing them.
Looks like the back panel's starting to come off, but we'll go in close up for you guys for a damage assessment.
About the only thing that happened with the front test is actually the back popping off. It's easily solved. I think it just pops right into place, right? Okay, there you go. Now let's open it up and see if there's anything wrong with the screen assembly itself. Page turns seem to work, both manual and touchscreen. Alright, let's run a few more tests to see how much more we can actually damage this sucker. All the tests that we've conducted so far, the case has been protecting the screen. Obviously, when you're reading a book, it's not always going to be like that. It's a weird design because when you flip it back, you can see it's kind of flimsy. It's not like flush, it slides, and we're going to do a test as if you were reading and dropping it on the front screen and see what happens. Ooh.
Yeah! We did it!
You did it!
Oh, I should pick this one up too, I guess.
Alright, let's actually see if it did take any damage. As expected, this case, when it's actually open, didn't provide a lot of protection. The case basically just like flew off. And on the front of the e-reader, you can see a lot of nicks and grooves, minor superficial damage in the respect that the e-reader still works. The screen's not cracked. You can still turn pages with gestures as well as physical page turn keys. The last test that we're going to run is basically you're on a public transportation, you're reading, someone bumps into you. We're going to see what happens. Oh, I think this is my stop. Whoa.
Oh, you broke my e-reader.
Sorry about that, sir.
Oh, the case didn't do anything.
Totally not intentional. Let's go in for a final damage assessment. So much like our other tests, if the e-reader is not enclosed, it actually pops off. And this is the second test in a row where it popped off. And this seemed to have been the test where it's taken the most damage on the front of the e-reader. A lot more nicks, a lot more grooves, some large chunks being taken out. But all in all, the e-reader itself still works. All in all, the e-reader itself took a lot of damage. It took a lot more damage when the screen was visible, as if we were simulated reading it and dropping it. In both cases, the case popped off. Peter, what are your thoughts about everything that transpired here today?
As we expected, the case did its job, at least for the screen. Didn't get damaged. When the screen was open, yes, all it did was pop off. You got to be careful because they don't sell this replaceable backing or the case separately. You'd actually have to get the case with a light if you did want to have some sort of replacement for this, or the Sony PRS-T3 actually comes with just the backing, so there actually won't be a case on that one.
And that has poor retail availability. I don't know any store that actually stocks the T3S. It seems like you have to order it directly through Sony.
Pretty much Sony style is one of the only carriers of that, and all in all, though, it looks like the e-reader the case did its job. The e-reader held up. Everything works. Touchscreen and the manual buttons, everything works.
So, the Sony PRS-T3 survived. For GoodEreader.com, my name is Michael.
This is Peter.
Everybody take care.